Hey, it's the right Rican, and today I want to talk a little about education and the student loan situation, um, and it's a couple of the problems that's going on with it. It's not something I'm gonna read too many articles from. Just something that came to me. I was having a conversation with a socialist relative, and we would just, we always talk politics. We never get nasty. We just, we'll just agree to disagree at the end of the day. Um, but I found it kind of funny. We were talking about the whole thing about the exorbitant cost of education, especially college education. And I was talking about how, more kids should be going to vocational school because it's not only is the vocational school cheaper, but when you come out of vocational school, you're making more money faster. So you could do a trade school, be done with, depending on the trade, you could be done anywhere between 12 to 24 months. Just depends on the field. Like you could be electrician, like 12 to 18 months and come out making good money. As opposed to, let's say, you could get a master's degree in social work and come out making, $35,000 a year. That sucks. You have a master's and that's all you're making. Um, but we were talking about like the high prices of education, and we were going back and forth. And he's like, I was saying the reason why the prices are so high is because the government started guaranteeing loans. So what's going on? These colleges are getting guaranteed money. They don't care about the kids. They just want to make their money. So what goes on? They raise prices. The government goes, okay, we'll guarantee higher loans. And it keeps going on and on. Every year it's the same thing. Colleges raise up tuition and room and board and all that stuff. And the guaranteed loans are still there. So you could, let's say, get a master's in social work, have $200,000 in debt. And when you get out of college, you're making 35, maybe $40,000 a year, paying back a $200,000 loan. And so he was like, well, well, that's why we need to make education free. And I'm like, how, like, how's that gonna, there's no such thing as free. Somebody's gonna pay. He's like, oh, that's right. He goes, well, the taxpayers are gonna pay for it. And I go, yes, but at the end of the day, these colleges, just because you're making it free, which means still coming from the taxpayers, still coming from the government, you're still gonna be you're still guaranteeing these colleges money. Because at the end of the day, if they're saying, oh, it's going to cost $40,000 a year for this kid to go to school and the taxpayers are paying for this stuff, it doesn't matter if it's a public, private college. It doesn't matter. These public colleges aren't cheap anymore because they're going to compete with the high prices of the public colleges. They're going to compete with bringing in professors and all that stuff. But you're still talking about getting a gender studies degree, or like I remember where I was. Um, Look, I'm Puerto Rican, so there was a Puerto Rican studies degree that you could get at Hunter College, and it's like, what did, other than if you go on to try to get your master's in Puerto Rican studies and teach Puerto Rican studies, there's nothing much you could do with that. Maybe go to law school, and because maybe you're good at writing. There's not much you could do with that type of degree. So if these are the type of degrees you're getting in public or private universities, you're not going to be making any money when you're done with colleges. That's one. And two, if the government's guaranteeing this money to go to these colleges, there's no incentive for them to lower the price. There's no penalty because they don't care if the kids can't afford it. Let's say the tuition, I know tuition like NYU, let's say NYU, I know it's like $40,000 a year. So let's go. You're the kid. You're there your first semester. You go there for your first year, and you drop out. You just drop. Now you owe $40,000 in your name. They don't care that you didn't finish the year. They got their money. The school year begins. They get their money, and they don't care. If granted, if you drop out at a certain amount of time, they'll give you some of your money back, but they don't care. They got their money. Even if if you were there for a month and you took out that loan, let's say for the $20,000 for the first semester, they're still seeing like 10, 15,000 from that. You'll maybe get five, $8,000 back, something like that. So there's no incentive if the government with the government involved with higher education, the prices are going to keep going up. There's no incentive to lower prices because if the government's guaranteeing you $20,000, let's say you go to Hunter College, and I think, my I don't know what the tuition is. Let's say for example, when I was last there, it was like $5,000 a semester, right? So let's say for that was 16 years ago. So let's do the math and say, you know, let's give it 1,000 extra. Let's make it an even $8,000 a semester. All right. So you're paying $8,000. You're still taking out a loan for 8,000. That's 16,000. So you took out $16,000 for a degree that's not going to get you nothing. When let's say, for example, you could go to a vocational school, maybe pay $15,000 for the 2 years. Let's say you go to a welding school. Well, guess what? Just Google what a welder might make. It's a specialty job that not a lot of people do. So let's say you do that, you make you could come out making like 30, $40 an hour. Where that's like what, like let's say about $80,000 a year. When you only took, let's say you only took out a loan to go to the vocational school for 15,000. Let's say, for example, funeral directing. There's a school here in New York, McAllister. Uh, I know, remember LaGuardia also had a program with McAllister. It was cheaper if you went to the LaGuardia, but let's say, for example, you could do that funeral directing. Not a lot of people in that field. Not a lot of people want to do it. People die every day. I say that from experience. I just, my grandmother just passed away. My wife has always been interested in that. She was talking to the funeral director people and saying, it sucks the first year, because you're new, but once you get your apprenticeship over with, eh, you know, 9 to 5, that's it. But you're not, maybe you're doing $20,000 for like 2 years. That's it. But you will make that money back, and that's the purpose of college. The purpose of college is supposed to prepare you for a career. So if you're not doing, like, so let's say you go to college and you don't know what you're going to do. That's why you go out into the real world. Maybe that's why you go and take a couple of crap jobs and see what you like and see what you don't like. And then you could go to school and go, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I don't want to do. Because at 18, you don't know when you're coming out of high school. The only one thing I knew coming out of high school was I wanted to move out of New York. That was it. That was the only thing I knew for sure that I wanted to do, and I did it. Far away. I may be closer, but it's to be, you miss your family. But that's, I just wanted to talk about that because that's what goes on with these socialists. They don't understand. They think that things are free. Free college, free healthcare. No, somebody has to pay for it. The taxpayer pays for it, one way or another, and that's why you know if we don't get our fiscal books in order, you know, who's to say that we're going to keep going? Because we owe so much money. But I just wanted, there was one article here that I had pulled up. Um, just want to show it real quick as an interesting article. How government guaranteed student loans killed the American dreams for millions. It's from 2019. When government guaranteed checks keep rolling in, there's no incentive for college and universities to lower their prices. In fact, they do the opposite. Exactly. If the government's guaranteeing the money, not caring what the students are getting paid, at the end of the day, the price is going to keep going up. That's all that happens. Um, And I'm going to link to this article. Um, I'll put it in the description just so if you guys are curious about reading it. I mean, here this is a point that I made. Financially, it makes no sense to take out $165,000 loan for a master's degree that leads to a job where the average annual salary is $38,000 a year. Yet thousands of young people are making this choice. Only when they graduate do they understand the reality of their situation as they live paycheck to paycheck and find it next to impossible to save for a home, retirement, or even a rainy day fund. Nor can student loans be discharged. Now, this is the biggest bullshit. Nor can student loans be discharged by filing for bankruptcy. Before 1976, it says it here, um, they would student loans were treated as any other debt. But this is the whole thing. If you know, that's what was going on. That was what was making it hard. Let me just read just in case if that's what it says. Prior to 1976, student loans were treated like any other kind of debt with regard to bankruptcy laws, but as defaults increased, the federal government changed the laws so student debt would hang above the borrower's head until the debt is repaid. This is ridiculous. These are the two key steps to addressing the student loan crisis. First, there needs to be a major cultural shift away from the belief that college is a one size fits all requirement for success, which is true. Second, parents and school systems should stress economic literacy so that young people better understand the concepts of resources, scarcity, and prices. And I think, and it goes here, finally, the current system of student loan financing needs to be reformed. Schools should not be given a blank check, and the government guaranteed loans should only cover a partial amount of tuitions. Schools should be responsible for directly lending a portion of student loans, so it's in their financial interest to make sure graduates enter the job market with the skills and requirements needed to get a well paying job. If a student fails to pay back their loan, then the college or university should also share in the taxpayer's loss. And that's a great idea. I am with that. If the colleges want to charge this amount of money, they should they should be burdened with helping out getting the financial aid, and not just they get it from the government. They should um, be able to go and help the kids get a loan. If you're preparing these kids for the real world and you're preparing them to get a job and you're going to give them job placement, all that stuff, then there you go. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think. I'm curious on what are some um, suggestions other people may have with this topic. uh, Anyways, am I Rican? You could if you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, please subscribe to the other network. I mean, whatever other website. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to my Rumble. If you're on my Rumble, subscribe to my YouTube. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, and Telegram. With that being said, have a good one, everyone.